All right, good morning. We'll get started now. We're just taking up one item this morning, and that is Bill 2019 that Councilmember Friedson introduced with many council members on as co-sponsors. We'll get into the bill. I just wanted to speak to the purpose of it. I'm really pleased that we have the bill before us today. When I presented to the West County Citizens Advisory Board, one of the members of the board explained how he had a accessory dwelling unit when he lived in DC, and his brother lived there, and his brother had autism, but he was high functioning, but he needed proximity. He needed a, it was important to have him close so the family could be part of his daily life. But at the same time, they really wanted to have independence for him, and they wanted him to have that experience. And it was a terrific living arrangement for them. He also mentioned that the space of the basement in that row house was slightly larger than the allotted amount for ADUs, and so they actually had to build a wall and close off a portion of the back of the basement area, which of course is just sort of irrational. But we had a similar provision that we fixed as part of our accessory dwelling unit zoning change, and so anyway, it was just it was meaningful to hear that personal story. I think it's not the only use for accessory dwelling units, but it certainly is one of the most compelling, I think. So I will ask my colleague if you'd like to make some comments, and then we'll have council staff walk through.
Well, thank you for those comments. Couldn't agree more with you that I think this is one of the most compelling aspects of the ADU program, and one that we heard consistently throughout our deliberations for the 6 months or 7 months that we were discussing it here at this body. This was one that frequently came up, and as we talk about being more inclusive, as we talk about making sure that the program is as accessible as possible to as many Montgomery County residents, I think this is one small step. As you see from the fiscal impact, it's very minor as expected, and reflects the fact that this is a very small concession that we can make in terms of revenue to provide a significant impact for certain families within our community, and to reflect the values of Montgomery County of being an inclusive and accessible place where we want to encourage families to be able to have the ability to have somebody close by so they can check on them, so they can be part of the family, but also have the dignity of an independent living situation, which is really what this is all about. So appreciate the support of all of many of my colleagues on this, and look forward to it. Basically would waive the $581 initial fee and the $111 annual licensing fee. I also have an amendment which I've just shared with with my colleagues, but it is in a similar spirit of that. The amendment would waive the annual licensing fee, not the initial $581 fee to get registered as an ADU, but the annual licensing fee for those families who have somebody who they're not charging rent to, a child or a parent who are living with them, or if it's laying vacant and not being rented out at all, to have to be charged annually for a licensing fee. We don't do this in any other area. If you're not renting it out, if it's not an active rental, you don't have to pay the active rental license. The way that we've done it to try to make it less of an administrative burden on county government is you basically have an affidavit that is signed, a form that says you're not renting this out and charging rent for the facility. I think this helps to address the elimination of the RLU, the residential living unit status, where previously you could have, before this new law goes into effect, our zoning change goes into effect, you could have had a family member living and not charging rent to, and you wouldn't have had to pay a licensing fee in order to keep it active, and this would essentially bring that in to it. I think it's in the spirit of not treating ADUs dramatically different than other living situations, which has been part of our goal, I believe, at this committee to try to do that. And then secondly, to try to bring everybody into the regulatory regime. And this, I think, would encourage folks to get their unit registered on the front end, knowing that they wouldn't be crippled with annual ongoing fees even when they weren't generating revenue or charging rent for it. And I think that's a laudable goal and something I think everybody shares, regardless of where folks were on this. The idea of bringing things into the regulatory regime and making sure that we could provide safety and proper inspections and ensure that we knew where they were, what they were, and how they were being addressed is something that's important. So I hope to have colleagues' support on that, and appreciate everybody's thoughtful consideration.
Councilmember Jawando.
Thank you, Mr. Reamer, and welcome back to you guys. Good to see you.
That's right.
You didn't abide by the no time Monday, but
I was on TV.
Okay, well, all right, you got it. You got it. Good to see everybody, and I'm happy to co-sponsor the bill, and I think it's will be a small impact fiscally, but a big impact to the lives of the folks that need it, and really glad we're going to be able to do it. I do have a question about your amendment. If I'm reading it correctly, it would be this would not just be related to those ADUs that are for folks with disabilities. This is for all.
Correct.
Okay, so it'd be okay, which I think is good. I just wanted to confirm that. I have no problem with it. But we can let staff explain it. But
Great, so I'm going to turn it over to Christine Wellens, and we'll invite up, making his directorial debut, Asim Nagam, and Mr. Tim Getzinger. Please come on up, and Christine, if you'll walk us through the packet.
Great, thank you. Good morning. As has been noted before the council is Council Bill 2019, Landlord-Tenant Relations, Licensing.
I don't know if your
and
mic's on.
Housing and
Yeah.
Landlord.
there you go.
Thank you so much.
Is it on now?
Speak.
Okay.
No,
I can't, it doesn't really project in here as much.
as long as the red light's on.
Oh,
There you go.
Red
the
light.
light was not on. I'm sorry. I was going for green.
This is also your first bill before the committee, I think.
Yes, as you can tell.
Doesn't make sense because it's green. It doesn't
Right,
make sense 'cause
I
it's
thought
green,
green
yellow,
go.
red, and normally red is stop, but here red
Right.
is on.
They tried.
We got the three colors right. I think they're in different order, but.
It's in my mind now. I'll get it right next time. So thank you and good morning. As we were discussing, we have Council Bill 2019, Landlord-Tenant Relations, Licensing of Rental Housing Fee Exemption. The lead sponsor is Councilmember Friedson. The bill was introduced on June 25th, 2019, and a public hearing was held on July 16th. As also has been noted by the council members, the bill would eliminate any license fee required to operate an accessory apartment as rental housing if the apartment is occupied by an individual with disabilities. Under the current law, as has been noted, the initial fee currently to license such apartments or accessory dwelling units is $581 with an annual fee of $111. So this bill would exempt those fees for apartments that are occupied with individuals with disabilities. In order to establish that an individual with disabilities occupies the apartment and to qualify for the exemption, the applicant would need to show that one or more occupants meets certain criteria. Either they receive certain disability benefits under the Social Security Act, receive disability compensation from the VA, is the beneficiary of a tax-exempt ABLE account for individuals with disabilities, or has a physician certification meeting certain standards showing that the individual has certain severe impairments or blindness. And the bill also requires the Department of Housing and Community Affairs to protect the privacy interests of the individual. At the public hearing on July 16th, the testimony was positive. DHCA provided supportive testimony. The Commission on People with Disabilities spoke on behalf of the bill, as did the Habitat for Humanity Metro Maryland and the Coalition for Smarter Growth. the Habitat for Humanity noted that a number of residents who have children with a disability have approached us to build an ADU so their child can remain close but live independently. We believe that Bill 2019 encourages the development of accessible ADUs by exempting licensed applicants from fee requirements. So, as Councilmember Reamer was pointing to, there are just two items to note for you. One is that, as you may have seen in some of the various reports, there was initially a concern from the executive branch that the Health Insurance Portability and Accessibility Act might be triggered, and that they would have to, that DHCA would be required to protect information under the certain standards of HIPAA. And that is after further examination and consultation with the county attorney, they realized that that is not the case. And then the other issue that I wanted to note for you is that this bill somewhat dovetails with another bill before the council, the Bill 2219, Accessory Dwelling Unit Licensing Requirements Amendments, just in that bill is updating terminology by changing every instance of accessory apartment to an accessory dwelling unit. I'm not at this time recommending any amendments to Council Bill 2019 based on this fact, because the way that 2219 has been drafted, it still includes the term accessory apartment. So it still has sort of an either or component. So it's still, the bill will still make sense and be accurate without making any amendments to 2019. And I hesitate to recommend any amendments at this time to 2019, because just, since 2219 isn't actually law yet, I want us to be consistent with the current law. So if that made sense.
So if we make this change and the amendment, we will not miss it, and we will change that also to accessory dwelling unit.
Right, but if you update the language for 2019 now to if we changed every instance of accessory apartment to accessory dwelling unit, then on the off chance that 2219 didn't pass, then our updated language wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So that's,
We'll defer to your guidance.
okay.
Mr. Nigam, welcome.
Good morning, Asim Nigam, Director of DHCA. Today is my first day. I'm delighted to be here.
Today's your first day on the job?
First day on the job.
Boy,
So
I bet you've been working towards it for quite a while, so.
yes, indeed. And I have gone through the background information on this bill, and my colleague at the dais, Mr. Tim, has been involved pretty much. So I'll let him make any comments on this bill, if any.
Sure. Well, thank you and good morning, and go Ravens. That was a heck of a game yesterday, I must say. Appreciate this bill. I think, as the council member said, Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens, come on. Oh, my name is, thank you, Tim Getzinger, and I am the chief of finance at
The anti-Ravens mail directly.
Oh, no, that's fine, bring it. Yeah, we love the hate. Appreciate the bill. I think, as the council member stated, it does have a narrow kind of audience, but it is very important. I guess the one question that I have really has to do with how does it get implemented when we talk about the $581, the annual licensing fee. That obviously we can document it with the 5 or so things that the bill does. But the $581 includes like the application fee, the sign fee, and that first year. So we wouldn't necessarily know who will be residing in it in year one, but perhaps what we could do is have some sort of an affidavit that the landlord would sign, talking about the potential or the desire to rent it to somebody with disability. Otherwise, I'm not sure how we could initially waive it up front, but perhaps what we could do is, if the first occupant is in fact a person with disability, we could refund it.
Can I just clarify? So it does waive the $582 fee, because that's just included under the rubric of any license requirement or something, or is it?
The disabilities, the initial bill does, yes.
Correct. We use the term any license fee to be inclusive of the
So it's inclusive.
initial licensing fee.
So,
Yeah, I mean, my view would be the affidavit is the right way to go. If we want to have, through the regulatory process, figure out a recapturing of the fee should the use change and no longer qualify, I think that's something that, I'd be certainly open to, and I think the council would be open to. But the idea here is to lower the cost burden, for families who already have a lot of cost burdens. And as we saw, the cost isn't much. I think this is something that can easily be absorbed. I think the question is the mechanics of it, and I yield to your wisdom of how to do it. But, the way that we've set up the other instances, and as we've discussed, previously, it's basically, effectively an affidavit. You're checking a box saying, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. And if you want to include language that there's a requirement for how long a period that would be to qualify for the 581 or whatever the licensing fee ends up being at the point at which that happens, I wouldn't have an issue with this. I'm not terribly concerned about families who are going to have their their family member with a qualified disability live there for 1 or 2 years and then use that as a backdoor to start renting it. I mean, I just don't see that as a realistic scenario. And I think there's a tremendous need for certain families. Like you said, it's not a huge number of people, but the needs for those families are huge. This is a very small concession that we're making, a small amount of money, figuring out how we do it. I helped launch the ABLE program. I was part of the national working group in the state task force and then helped launch it, kind of lead the effort to launch it here in Maryland. The Disability Savings Program, which is one of the qualifications that can demonstrate that you qualify for this. And we had the same question, the same issue of the mechanics of how you qualify for that. And what we found is the easiest way to do it is to have the onus be on the applicant to, by penalty of perjury, basically say, you put the qualifications and then you certify that you qualify for those, and then it becomes on them, not on you. I think that limits the administrative burden, which I totally understand and can appreciate, and I think it reflects the will and the intention of the bill.
I have a question, just to clarify, Councilmember. So in the amendment, you have an annual fee exemption if it's your family member, but that would not apply for the initial fee. If you're building a unit for a family member, you'd still pay the initial fee, but it's exempt. You're exempt from the annual fee. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
And the reasoning for, it's a hierarchy of needs here, and the thought process is because we'd be more concerned about having a family member for 1 year living, that restriction is looser.
It does change.
Yeah. So that is a more fluid scenario. Qualifying for the disability, the qualified disability as part of the bill as drafted is a much higher standard, and the likelihood that somebody would, you'd build the unit, have them only live there for 1 or 2 years, to me is virtually non-existent. You'd be building it for a specific purpose, and so that's the rationale behind that, and I don't want to limit the department's ability to inspect and to receive some of the fees that are the administrative costs of processing those fees. The disability group is a much smaller, much more tailored group, and so I don't, we're trying to strike the right balance here, and I thought that was the appropriate balance.
I think you did right. I'll pass it to Mr. Juano in a second, but I think many of these units are built for family. So if we don't have that initial fee for family, I think we're really underfunding our own ability to do our inspection work. Juano.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's the right balance on the amendment. Just back to the main bill and to your question, it brings up two questions I kind of heard in your. So one is you build an ADU because you're excited that we've got ADUs going, and that you don't know who you're going to rent it to, or who's going to be living in it. Let me say that. And then at some point during the time, say your first person is someone with disabilities, right? Because another one of the bill's goals is to increase affordable housing, right? Say it's an apartment, and you happen to just get someone, it's not a family member, but they are qualified under this, but you've already paid the fee. That's what I heard. I think that you could imagine that scenario happen. And then in that sense, is there a mechanism to refund it? Now, again, it's not going to be a huge amount of people, but it could happen. It's not an unrealistic scenario. So was that the scenario you were?
Yeah, so
getting at?
I guess that was my initial question, whether or not we go the affidavit route and we just waive it in the beginning, or if the first occupant is in fact a disabled person, then we can go ahead and refund it, and there is the mechanism to do that.
Well, there's two things, because you could know, I think the vast majority are going to know, I'm building this for either a family member or someone that is qualified disabled, but and then check the affidavit, and I agree that's probably the right way to go. But there could be a scenario where you don't know, and then you have someone like kind of saying, hey, is this, when they get asked the question in the form, they have to make that moment of truth. Do I just check it and say, mate, it could be, and so I think that's so I don't, so we have to think about that.
It might be better to have it be refundable. I mean, I could see
That's why I
Habitat
was
for
thinking.
Humanity saying, we want all of these essentially, we're going to try to recruit someone for all of these, but if we don't find someone,
Right.
then we may not have him. So on the one hand, they would seem to be saying,
That was my question, is
Yeah.
it's such a high a number that it would create administrative burden on you to make it refundable? Because I think it would be more, the fidelity would be there more if it was refundable, in that scenario, but.
I think we can go through both. I think we can both do the affidavit in which we waive the fee if we do know in fact that the first occupant will be disabled, and if it happens to be that the first occupant is disabled, then we can refund it. We refund license payments.
Yeah, I just wanted a couple things. One, refundable, I mean, I just come from the comptroller's office. The biggest nightmare in the comptroller's office are refundable tax credits. They're the most desirable public policy for legislators to put in bills to be interested in implementing some type of refundable tax credit from an administrative standpoint. It is a total nightmare to try to administer refundable tax credits. So I yield to you to tell us what you think is the easier administrative burden, but to a certain point, I mean, I think this is to a certain extent on the disability side of this, a solution in search of a problem, because it's not just someone with disabilities, it's someone who meets very specific criteria of disabilities. Are you qualified by the Veterans Administration to have a disability? Do you qualify for an ABLE account, which means you qualifying for an ABLE account is a very specific standard of what the qualified disabilities were for, and it was specifically put in place for those who were basically told in order to get federal benefits for their disability, you have to be poor. You have to have $2,000 of net assets or less. That's the purpose of an ABLE account. The written certification signed by a physician that you have a determinable impairment that results in marked and severe functional limitations, which have lasted or can last for longer than 12 months. So to me, it's not like there is a massive market for housing for folks who qualify for this. In fact, there is almost no available housing unless you're living with your relatives or you're living through the support of a nonprofit or some type of social service organization or with the help of government. And so what we're really doing is trying to help folks who have some means make it a little bit easier to provide support for those in their families. I don't see the scenario where you may or may not rent to folks who qualify for this. Now, I do think that there is a realistic aspect of on the family member that I may, this might be something at some point that I have for an adult age child once they, graduate from college or once they graduate from high school or whatever the case may be, or we may want our parents, our in-laws, or whatever the case may be to come stay with us, and if, we wouldn't be charging our family member rent. I think that's where I think, making sure that we have the fee up front is important. I think it's also important on the annual aspect of this in terms of, circumstances changing, the way that we've set this up to make it as easy as possible, at least the attempt to make it easy as possible, in consultation with the department, is the department is going to be sending out the annual notice to renew your rental, just like any other rental. If you have a rental unit, you get sent the notice, here's the fee, here's what the fee was last year, here's what it is this year, here's how you send in your payment online or by check. This would be the same thing. There would just be something in that form that is a check mark that says basically, I don't have to pay the fee because of this reason, and you check that box, you sign it, and you send it back.
Well, and I think I'm just trying to create, again, I think the goals of the bill, co-sponsor, is great. Another pathway, right? Say there is a scenario, you still have the affidavit, you can check it at the beginning and you're done. It's the same intent of the bill. But there's another one, say you get the ADU, then you actually do have someone qualified disabled that does come in and occupy that ADU, you can have your fee refunded to you. So I'm just we're just making sure that everyone gets the benefit. The intended audience who checks it at the beginning and knows full well, which will be the majority, but also if there's someone on the back end that happens to, or it changes in purpose, a year or two down the line, or within that first year, we need to maybe define that.
That's what I was the one.
Yeah, define it within the first year. Because I think this is a question to Christine, you can qualify if you meet any of subsection 2A through E, correct?
Yes, that's
Right. So the A is there's a lot, there's a good number of people who get SSI disability benefits. So, I think the population that could qualify could be someone who just actually is in the ADU market in and of themselves, because, you don't have to be a veteran. You could just be getting SSI disability. That's a big number. We could find out what that number is in the county, but that's probably the widest of these as I read these.
I think it's a considerably lower number than you might think, but
Right. Well, again, I want to keep the tradition. I'm just saying there could be a scenario to his question where someone in the market gets an ADU and it wasn't, and we want to refund it. We want to encourage people to do that.
If we kept it up front as it is, and then we added in this additional wrinkle of if at some point you are renting it to a person with qualified disabilities for some extended period of time, because I think you'd have to add that in then.
Well, wait a second.
think
Do we need any more language, or do you feel that you can take it from here with the
We're
regulation?
fine with this. What I would recommend, just in terms of operating, is that if in year one, then the application and the sign fee, the whole 581, 582 is fully refundable, or can be waived at the beginning. I think that we want to make this as least restrictive as possible so that we can have as many beneficiaries as possible.
Or in year 2 and on, the initial fee wouldn't be waived, but the year-to-year would be waived.
Because that's already included.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an
The idea, it would be hard to then go back 10 years later and give the 581 back. Yeah.
So we're only talking about the first year, and they can do it through regulation, so it sounds,
Yeah.
it sounds like we don't need
It's
to.
the same, okay. I was just concerned that we were overcomplicating something that could be pretty simple, but it sounds like we're not, exactly. Yeah. Thought this was gonna be a 10-minute meeting, turns out, it's gonna be a little longer, no problem.
All right, so I think that's it. We'll take the amendment
raised the question.
without objection. No, it's fine. No, any further questions or comments?
If I just may make a comment for the committee to consider, do you want to consider that the unit must be rented for the entire year for the person if the fee is going to be refunded?
It's hard to require someone else to rent a unit from you. You mean it has to be available?
I'm just making a comment that, what if in a scenario that a unit is rented only for 3 months or 4 months for a person with disabilities, or you're requiring for the entire year before the fees could be refunded?
Well, it wouldn't be rented, it'd be occupied because, large part of this population that we're talking about, the idea is that you're not charging rent. So I would just be careful saying occupied for the entire year, because then what happens if you go to a summer program somewhere else and you don't live there for a month? I mean, I think it's a good thought, but I'm afraid that it would have worse consequences than it would have benefits. Because it's not a rental.
Yeah. You can think about that some more if you need to. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.